Take a look at this text real quick and tell me, what language is this? Your first instinct might be to say, it's obviously Korean. Korean is the only language to use Hangul. And to that I say, no. To this being Korean, and to Korean being the only language written using Hangul. Jeju, spoken on Jeju Island, is considered by many to be distinct enough from Standard Korean that it constitutes a different branch of the family. There's also the Cha-Cha language, which historically was written in the Jawi script, and is currently written in a Roman script. However, there's been pushes to adopt a modified Hangul for this language, spoken in Baobao. However, this is neither Jeju nor Cha-Cha. No, this is Kankana, an adaptation of Hangul to Japanese invented by me. Also, it's supposed to be a mixed script and use my Universal Chinese Character Standard, but I am nowhere near done with that, so I'll just use the Japanese standard forms instead. Now, before I talk about how this script works exactly, let me explain why I created this blessed script in the first place. It first started with me looking at Japanese u verbs. For those who don't know, Japanese possesses two types of verbs, godan verbs and ichidan verbs, or as they are called in English, u verbs and ru verbs. The basis of this comes down to the morphology of the verb. Ru verbs are verbs that append a ru to their root. The root also has to end in either an I or an e, think taberu or miru. U verbs, on the other hand, append u to the end of a consonant final root, think nomu and oyogu. This distinction becomes prevalent when conjugating the verbs. When making the verbs polite with mas, the ru verbs just drop ru, while the u verbs replace the final u with an i. When making the verbs negative with nai, the ru verbs again just drop ru, but the u verbs replace the final u with an a instead. Using kana, it looks like we are modifying the root of the u verbs, when in reality the root stays still and that new vowel can be seen as part of the suffix instead. Now this got me thinking, a syllabary like kana doesn't work well to show the underlying morphology at play, which in turn got me thinking about a script that would work great for such a function. My first thought was Devanagari, but I scrapped that idea as it doesn't work well with Chinese characters, before realizing there's Hangul. For those who don't know, Hangul is a script invented by King Sejong to replace Chinese characters in Korea. However, it still retained some influence from Chinese characters, most notably making every character block equal to one syllable. So while still being an alphabet, with each syllable unit being made up of individual characters, each syllable only takes up one Chinese character length, making it quite condensed and compatible with Chinese characters. Most importantly in this case though, it has final consonants. With this in hand, I ran with it and created Kankana, a Hangul-derived script for Japanese. Is this meant for some great purpose? No. Better Japanese writing? Still no. Then why did I create it? Because I could. That's why. Anyway, without further ado, let's see how the script works. First are the vowels. I, a, and e directly take their equivalents in Korean, while u takes the character for u, and o takes the character representing Korean a. Vowels with ya and wa initials are represented with these characters, with ye being added due to loanwords alongside we and we. Moving on to the consonants, with the most straightforward bits being the voiceless obstruents and n, and ra, with them remaining the same between Korean and Kankana. Meanwhile, voiced obstruents are represented with the characters used for aspiration in Korean, except for this character being used for z instead of ch. The marginal phoneme ts gets represented with the doubled s, and f is formed by adding the w digraphs after h. Finally, final n is written with this character, and gemination is shown through writing the character twice, first underneath the previous syllable, and next at the beginning of the next. Simple, no? So how does this work with u verbs? Well, it keeps the root together. With ru verbs like taberu and miru, the final verb suffix is written with ru, which disappears when conjugating. But with nomu and oyogu, the final verb suffix is written u, just that alone, with the final consonant remaining part of the root. So now, when conjugating these verbs, the root of the verb is intact. While working on this, I also noticed that this could be applied to adjectives as well. So all E adjectives, adjectives that end with an independent E suffix, have their roots end in a silent k, which does get pronounced when the adjective gets conjugated. So now that that's out of the way, here's some text in Japanese, Kankana, and Kankana mixed script. And finally, its English translation.